Okay, so I'm going to do a think aloud or a think along, and I have some notes for myself on the screen over here, but I'm going to do a think aloud about how I noticed repetition in this passage. And I'm going to highlight some colors so that you can see as I'm talking through the passage. Good speakers who are giving speeches will often repeat a key idea or two again and again. It makes the message stick. The first thing that got me noticing that this was going to be repetition coming was the first line of the first paragraph. And remember, comrades. Major, who is a character in Animal Farm, from which this passage was taken, is telling the other animals that something important is coming next because he is telling them that this is going to be something important to remember. So he uses the word remember. It's like when I see a politician giving a speech at a rally. They have a slogan and they repeat it over and over again so you remember it long after the speech is over. And since we just went through the election and all of these were happening, you know what I'm talking about. I'm going to show you the repetition I saw in the first paragraph. First, he says, never listen. Then he says, it's all lies. Then at the end of the paragraph, he says again, all men are enemies, all animals are comrades. 3 times in one paragraph, he repeats himself with the same idea. Don't listen to men or man. He can't be trusted. All men are the enemy. I noticed this because the repetition was so close together in one paragraph. Speakers can use repetition pretty effectively, but I know I have to be on the lookout for how a repeated message can change. It's like the telephone game of whisper down the lane, where you whisper to one person who whispers it to another, and then by the time it gets back to the first person, the message is completely different. I look for repetition, but I also have to keep an eye out for how the message might change when other speakers use it. So I'm going to make a note in the margin. I'm going to type it. That there is some repetition happening. So if I were writing on my direct book, I would write that in there. But now I'm going to put it here and I'm going to change the color. So I remember, hey, I need to take note of this because repetition is happening. And so in the margin of my text, I would probably have repetition written over on the side. I want to be able to come back to the original message to compare it to see if others use a similar message. I want to be able to see if it stayed the same or if it changed. So this is a way that you can come back and see what I talked about as I went over this first paragraph. When you go into the book, I want you to also take note of some of these literary devices, and I want you to be talking to the text as I am doing now. You can make other notes. Maybe you don't know what a word means, and so you need to remember to go back and look those words up so you can circle that word and then define it if you want. You can also go in and add some other notes to yourself. Maybe you want to draw a picture, but that's a great way to talk to the text. And if you have any questions, let me know.